We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and a Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 146 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. You can follow us currently on social media at Twitter, at RealBTR Radio. You can follow me individually at EthanM95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media. And don't forget the R-Truth DMs for Ethan.
I don't believe R-Truth was on this week's episode of Raw once again. So, I mean, probably a good idea. Probably a good idea.
Running out of new memes if he's not going to be on the show. Very much.
That's right.
Getting kind of dry.
Don't know if he's been defending that 24/7 championship or not. I mean, just throw the title away at this point. Pull a laundry blade and just drop it in the trash can.
I was going to say, are they still showing it on TV? But I mean, if R-Truth's not on TV, neither is the belt, right?
No. You can also find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, and you'll find several episodes uploaded there. Or you can check out YouTube, just search up Beyond the Ropes, and you'll see our pretty faces on what are they called?
The interwebs?
The internet. Archives, whatever. You'll find us. And
all of our videos.
The thumbnails. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was looking for. But yeah. Of course, big news coming out of the last week. I don't know. I think we already talked about it. I don't know if we did.
The big news, no firings this week?
There's that which is good. I'm scared, James. It can happen. It can still happen.
Hey, it can be us. WWE might fire us for whatever reason.
There was almost a feature endeavored on our social media earlier today, James.
Who is this? Wait, what?
That's right. There was almost an announcement. So and so has been featured and endeavored from Beyond the Ropes. But if Rob keeps it up with jokes here in the description, it might be him next. So, of course, Vegas is once again getting SummerSlam. Did we talk about it last week?
We mentioned it. We did kind of mention that it was likely to happen. And
it's been confirmed.
I had almost totally forgot about it just because I was over it, I guess. Will we have a road trip to Vegas? I don't know. When is it supposed to be? Because I think there's supposed to be something I'm going to.
It's let me look it up really quick. Thank you to my app. It's in August 20th.
Oh, this is in August.
It's in August. Football season might be already happening at that time.
It might already be happening at that time. But yeah, so it's going to be in Vegas, the new Raiders Stadium, Allegiant Stadium, I believe. Mm-hmm. Again, not surprising based on the things that we said, based on the two cities that I guess are kind of on the out. Vegas, I guess, falls in the middle of two cities that one that will host Raw and one that will be hosting SmackDown or something like that. Yeah, SmackDown on Friday, the pay-per-view on Sunday or Saturday, and then Raw on that Monday. So works out. That's how it's going to be. I think it's a sign of maybe that means we'll get LA soon and for another event, but I don't know because we already know when they come to WrestleMania. So you get scratched the WrestleMania plans out until 2023, I guess, at this point. Maybe next year for SummerSlam. We'll see. Maybe LA can host SummerSlam next year. But I think, too, again, because they're not going to be in the NFL stadiums that much unless it is a SummerSlam, unless it is a WrestleMania. As we get closer to 2023, is obviously the less likely we will see the WWE in SoFi Stadium. Doesn't mean they won't be in LA or in Staples Center or anything like that. So keep an eye out for those dates at Staples Center. Maybe they return to Riverside sometime within the next year or two. which is where I'm at, and where they have had some NXT house shows. Maybe they do some house shows out in LA and whatever too for
Maybe
NXT.
the Honda Center as well.
Maybe the Honda Center as well.
well.
Is that where would they do them at? They would do it at Honda Center.
Honda Center, Staples Center. Sometimes they would do a live event like at the Forum.
Or even
Not often,
okay.
but they've done
And
it.
actually, and they've done Raw not too long ago in the Honda Center too. So it's not like they have to do Staples Center. They can also do the Honda Center. Rob mentioned in the chat about San Diego. Sure, I'm sure they could. I can't remember anything off the top of my head in which they have been to San Diego for something, but I'm sure that
San Diego, I think, is one of the ones.
it might be a house show. I just wouldn't know the arena if so. But yeah, definitely always a possibility.
Anyway,
Only if Ray's around, and Ray doesn't have to be around for them to be in San Diego. So, anyways, yeah, bummed out that I wasn't in LA this year for SummerSlam, not in LA this year.
road trip.
He's asking for a road trip, which would mean I'd almost be down to do it. I just, it's hard for me to predict too far ahead what my schedule is going to look like.
It's a tough situation. I'm sure. I know you have more responsibility.
Yeah.
I
gotta be an adult, Ethan.
I know. I have a job too, but I mean, I think it's easier for me to.
Hey now. I'm not. There was no shots taken. I wasn't saying.
No, I know.
I'm
just saying. It's probably easier for me to get out of work than it is for you. Although you could take your work on the road, technically.
I could.
But no, I get it. It's no pressure.
No pressure except for the 1 million tweets you sent over the week. No, there wasn't.
It was one tweet, perhaps, maybe two.
Anyway. I felt the pressure, though. I felt the pressure. I think you had some extra exclamation marks in there or something. I felt it.
I did make myself available for pre-orders just in case. So we'll see how much tickets are going for.
I just happen to be available for the date of pre-orders. Fair enough. Coachella tickets are also available, and maybe those sold out. I was gonna say you could use your day for that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anyways, it's just nice. It's just nice to even have the opportunity to join in on a pre-order for something now and get tickets and consider buying tickets and consider going to a live event.
Absolutely.
Fun times.
And speaking of SummerSlam, this came as we're recording this right now, June 8th. 9th. June the 9th. WrestleVotes tweeted this morning. WrestleVotes is a pretty reliable source for wrestling news and all that. As of we're recording this was 7 hours ago. After speaking to a few sources on the topic, I've learned that WWE is 100% attempting to make SummerSlam this year's WrestleMania. All resources will be tapped into. Is how it was explained to me. I do believe they want Cena versus Reigns to headline. Not sure if they decided. That would be a big match. Of course, let's first off, before you say anything, let's take a moment here to acknowledge Roman Reigns as the head of the table, as the tribal chief. James, your turn. Go ahead.
You're just kind of bumping him up a little bit earlier in the show every week now, aren't you?
Well, this is another rumor by Dave Meltzer. I don't know if it's true.
Don't air quote the man like he's not right sometimes. Go ahead.
I don't know. But apparently, Roman Reigns only wants to open or close the show. He doesn't want to be in the middle of the show. So, we got to put him at the start or the end of the show. It's one or the other, James.
You either want to show up late or leave early.
Exactly. That sounds like Brock Lesnar. Well,
no, I don't feel like that would exactly be it for Roman. So that's not fair to say. But
no, I think it's more of you either open the show or close the show. Those are the kind of the important segments there.
Well, because those are the sweet spots. Those are when you have people's attention. Who was it? Wasn't that that was Jericho's deal not too long ago, right? Was just how coveted those spots are. You don't want to be the second match for whatever reason, even though I would think the second match is still a good spot, because if you're just starting the show, you get that opener, and then you want to see what's next. He was the third match. Okay, well then, no, but I mean, no, but again, you do want to either be the first match or the last match, which I still kind of find surprising in a way, just because everyone always said like the opening match was like curtain jerker, or the opening match that's gonna help get it go. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, I think because it was always mentioned with the cruiserweights, is like, this is the match that's supposed to get people going, and not so much like, hey, this is the match that you want to be in. But obviously times have changed, so whatever works.
Yeah, and let's talk about this SummerSlam potentially being bigger than WrestleMania. Of course, this ideally, I mean, it's in Vegas, so I would assume it's going to be full capacity. I remember seeing Jerry Lawler tweeting a week or two ago.
Jerry Lawler was tweeting?
Yeah, he tweets. He tweets once in a while. Getting a vaccination due to, WWE stating you don't have to wear a mask anymore if you're fully vaccinated. But if you're not going to get the vaccination, you got to still wear your mask. So I would assume they're getting ready to have full capacity at these shows, coming up. So Vegas is a big stadium, obviously brand new stadium. I don't know how many people. I would assume at least 70,000 people.
A lot.
70 to 80,000, yeah. So they're looking for WrestleMania crowds. WrestleMania, I think this year was 25,000 a night. So
yeah, something like, it was like 25. It's interesting though. I mean, it's just the thought of, I mean, it's kind of hard to call anything like, oh, this is like gonna be this year's WrestleMania. I mean, it's not like there wasn't a crowd for WrestleMania. I get where they're going with it.
Also, there wasn't any names like a Cena or a Brock or an Undertaker at this year's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It was just, which is, I mean, good thing.
Which is good.
Give your current stars that spotlight.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't have those attractions. So
I mean, if anything, whether they kind of treat it, or let's just even say, even if they approach it like a WrestleMania, as they should, being in that big of an NFL stadium, I think something like that, and if that's the approach they take and they put on a good show, have a good card, and the matches are as solid as they can be during WrestleMania, I think this is exactly what you need to kind of help boost, what is already a prestigious event in SummerSlam. I think when you think about SummerSlam and you think about like the British Bulldog and Bret Hart and some of those kind of matches, I think the Rock Triple H ladder match was also at SummerSlam, like 98, I think, or 99, something like that. I think those, that's what you want from a SummerSlam. You want good matches like that. And there's been some good matches. You'll get a Goldberg or something like that, I think, in recent years. But yeah, you need a Cena Reigns match. A part of me almost wonders about Cena though, and if he'll come out because again, he was in WrestleMania, I guess it's 2 years ago now. That was the Funhouse match. There wasn't a whole lot of really any sort of wrestling. It was, there was or whatever, but that was almost more up his alley now with the acting and the scripting, the staging gimmick. But can he compete in the ring? Not saying that he can't. I'm sure he could, but it was kind of almost like The Rock. There was like a time or two when he'd kind of pop back in. You're kind of like, But it would, kind of takes him a few times. But I think by the time he kind of had a few matches under his belt, then he was kind of solid. But if you're getting Cena coming in just to pop in on one match, I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, when you have a guy like Ethan's tribal chief, Roman Reigns, to carry the weight. I know you guys haven't seen it for whatever reason. So I'm sure you guys are fully on board with what I'm saying. To carry John Cena to a 5-star match, if there's anyone who can do it, and then I think Roman Reigns is that guy.
Right.
Finger snaps for approval. Is that yes?
Now all you just need to say now is I acknowledge Roman Reigns as the head of the table.
And that's why I hyped the whole thing up, because I wanted you to think that's where I was going. But no.
No, I figured you weren't, because I know you like to tease like that. You just like to tease like that. But one of these days, if Reigns beats Cena at SummerSlam, you have to say it, right? I think it works.
Sure, why not? I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, I just need like a good, like, there just needs to be some great segment or something. I'd say it. I'm just not going to randomly
last SummerSlam, James? Have you not been watching every Friday night on SmackDown?
I want him to do the job for main event Jay. and give Jay a title run.
Don't be a Jimmy
Then he
Uso.
can be the tribal chief all he wants.
Don't be a Jimmy Uso. By the way, the fact that Jay and Jimmy have been hanging out together, I don't know if you noticed or if you watched the segment, but Roman got them confused the other day.
Uh-oh. It's for a shooter or like, I mean, I don't think, not for a shooter.
I mean,
right?
I was starting to get them confused again. I was like, who's who? Because they can't be together. Come on now.
I think there was the one segment, like it was like not, it was this, what was like the pay-per-view, whatever, and they told him go away or go with your brother. It was like that next night or something, like on Raw. And Jay, wait, who's the one who just came back? Jay?
Jimmy. See, you're forgetting too. Look at that.
No. Hear me out. So Jimmy is in the locker room and Jay's in the middle, and it's Roman and Jimmy, and Jimmy looks bigger than Jay. Like, I think
I'm sure he's been working out.
One of the other ones was like way bigger. One of them almost looked as big as Roman. Maybe it was the camera angle. Maybe I'm just tripping. But one of them looked bigger one of them looked closer to Roman than he did to the twin. Just size-wise. I
mean, Jimmy may have had, time off to get in, shape. That's usually what happens when someone's out for months. They get time to go to the gym more. Obviously, main event Jey Uso, who's turning back into mid-carder Jey Uso. I don't know. You need to keep Jimmy away from him.
They were in a tag team match, right? They were in there with Ray and Dominic, right?
And they lost, and Roman Reigns had to lay both Dominic and Ray out. He's very unhappy. I don't blame him. I was scared. For them.
So is Dominic and Ray? Are they? I mean, you almost have to sell if it's your tribal chief, right? And he's doing a beatdown on him. Then I would assume you're not gonna get Ray and Dominic coming back the next week.
From the SmackDown preview, now this will have already happened as this goes up, but it seemed more so like Dominic was out of action and Ray was gonna attempt to get some redemption or payback, but we'll see. I mean, it is Roman Reigns after all. Come on now.
Okay.
So yeah, SummerSlam, Roman Reigns. We need to spend a whole segment talking about our tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
We can, maybe not today though.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll discuss.
I'm telling you, he's just one good segment. Like there just needs to be something. I'm not saying he's not doing great work, and a lot of people speak very highly of the man.
Fantastic.
But I don't know. I mean, you could almost get into you heard the Jim Cornette segment. I know we're getting close to a commercial break here, but there's the case for who's the best wrestler in all the wrestling industry right now. A lot of people were upset that it wasn't Kenny Omega, or what JR said it was Randy Orton and not Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jim Cornette almost kind of agreed. Well, Jim Cornette hates Kenny Omega, but
yes,
I think Cornette even made the case, and for Roman Reigns, you can mention Roman Reigns in that, and I can totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
He failed to mention main event Jay, but that's okay. I mean, you can only rattle off so many names to make an argument. But I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not saying Roman's a bad guy. I mean, he's a bad guy.
So Rob is asking why he dislikes Kenny. I'll tell you off the air, but I'll follow a Twitter account that posts some of Kenny's previous work prior to AEW, and you'll see why. But anyways, when we return, we'll be discussing a retirement of a former WWE superstar, in addition to a potential return and an injury and a debut on Dynamite. All that and more right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 146 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan. Of course, joined by the analyst, James Williams, and behind the controls, producer, Rob Flores. We're doing this virtually via Zoom. We're all fully vaccinated now, which is great. I thankfully did not have any symptoms.
Are we? Wait, did you get number one?
I believe. No, I got number 2. I'm fully vaccinated,
you
sir.
did get number 2. Okay.
Yeah, I
and
got
you had
number
nothing,
2.
Huh?
No, I mean, except this, the fork. I tested out the fork on my forehead. Apparently, you're getting I'm turning into Magneto, apparently. At least that's what social media is telling me, so.
Okay.
Go find it on Twitter. You'll see the whole thing.
I just thought you were doing some Abdullah the Butcher stunt or something. I was like, wait a minute.
No. Cam not. Jim Cornette would be disappointed in me if I did that.
Yeah, I'm sure he would be. I would be too if you were doing that. First of all, that's gimmick infringement. Second of all, you shouldn't be playing with Fortnite.
I mean, all right. Let's talk about now former wrestler. Speaking of Abdullah the Butcher being a former wrestler himself, let's talk about a new former wrestler, a retired wrestler. Talking about one Lio Rush, who actually recently had a match. He made his AEW debut at Double or Nothing, but it was a one and done situation. Basically, this was kind of a brief statement. It's a long statement on his Instagram. I'm not going to read it all. Just go to his Instagram. But this comes from AEW.
I saw what you did there with that short statement joke.
Okay, that wasn't on purpose. I don't know. Now you're just making stuff up. Come on now. All right. So this comes from PW Insider. In his Instagram post, Rush stated that he suffered a separated AC joint in his shoulder at AEW's Double or Nothing. Of course, that was during the Casino Battle Royal that they have every year. He stated that AEW still wanted to sign him, which would have made him the first talent signed to two major companies at the same time, as he had already been signed with New Japan in April. The injury made him reevaluate where he is in life, especially as it was keeping him from holding his youngest child. He stated that led him to decide he was done, with the exception of whatever contracted matches he has left for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I believe he is 26 years old, still very young. So if he ever decides someday to change, come back, he's still got that opportunity. Otherwise, I mean, it makes sense if he, has decided, well, I'm 26 years old. Dealing with the shoulder injury is kind of a big deal if you can't even lift, your own child. Right. And I mean, he had a decent run in WWE. Obviously, he was Bobby Lashley's manager at one point. It started off a little rocky because if you remember the Emma joke he once made, I think when she got released from WWE. Yeah. So he wasn't ready for Asuka, and that kind of got him heat very early on. And he got heat throughout his kind of tenure. But then I believe he went back to NXT, kind of helping out the cruiserweight division. He was a cruiserweight champion, and then kind of randomly released, which has kind of been the whole situation as of late with WWE just randomly releasing talent. And we'll talk about some released talent in just a little bit right now. But not new release talent. Just
I was like, what?
No, not that I know of anyways. But no, after that, I guess, he went back to the Indies, of course, kind of working all over the place. Obviously mentioned that he got signed to New Japan in April, which I wasn't aware of. Of course, his last match was in AEW at Double or Nothing. And we're going to see him for a couple more matches, the remainder of his contract for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then he's done. So any quick thoughts on Lio Rush?
It just seemed like when he did get back into when he did get into AEW and have that match or moment, whatever, people were tweeting. I remember seeing this tweet. I actually just kind of pulled it back up. Well, actually, I guess it wasn't really so much about Lio Rush, but it was just the possibilities of having Lio Rush in a bunch of different matches, or him coming in and working with Kenny Omega or just, other guys, just being able to bounce around and sure, it would have just been another guy who could have some good matches or some great matches with some guys. But, again, only 26 years old. If he wants to retire, take a break, and that's totally okay. Now's the time to kind of do that. And then if you do get that urge again to come back, yeah, you want to hold your child and whatever. And again, I mean, that's totally understandable. And you can only have the utmost respect for a decision like that. But, as kids get older and maybe you get a little more free time going forward in a couple of years, I mean, think 4 or 5 years from now, child a little bit older, your family may be a little bit more established. I'm sure he has ideally, you would think he has quite a bit of WWE money left still. I think that the itch to wrestle again may come back. Maybe it's in WWE, maybe it's not. But, You look at guys like AJ Styles and even The Undertaker, who are 40 plus years old in wrestling and getting in the ring and doing stuff. A little guy like Leo Rush, especially if he has some downtime to kind of heal up from the bumps and bruises that he's had over recent years, then sure, maybe he can come back healthy, fly around and have some more good matches down in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about guys in their 40s. Sting is 62 years old and still bumping around as he was at Double or Nothing.
While we're kind of on AEW talking about Sting for a minute, I heard that the Sting match wasn't all that, or he did very little or something like that. But I saw this live shot where someone in the crowd at AEW had video of Sting competing in the ring during that match and looked really good. Did you see that? Did you see that clip? No,
I heard it. I heard he was bumping around for a bit.
He was bumping around. He was, he was doing the Scorpion Splash or the Stinger Splash on from one side of the turnbuckle, running over to the other one, getting both. He was in that tag team match, I believe it was, and he was looking good. I think he even got on the top rope.
Yes, he did. He jumped off the stage. He did a crossbody off the stage. I know he did that.
Oh, see, I didn't see that.
And he no-sold a suplex on the stage, which Jim Cornette loved.
But I'm just saying, I mean, you can't really be doing that at 60, but he's doing it. But then I think it even said in that tweet though, it was like, oh, or I think you mentioned it before, like not too long ago, like Sting hasn't been in WWE for like 4 or 5, 6 years now. I don't know.
WrestleMania after 31, that later that year when he got hurt. WrestleMania 32, so it's been 5 years. 4 or 5 years.
And that's crazy because we were thinking Sting is old or whatever back then. Like, I don't know. Exactly. It's just crazy that I don't know. It's just when, people were saying he was old and shouldn't be in the ring when he was in TNA. And that was like, what, 10 years ago now? I don't know.
Yeah, at this point.
And it's just crazy. I don't know. It's just kind of like the point I'm making is you can't count anybody out, no matter how old they are.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Someone with all the potential still in the world made his AEW debut, since we're on AEW right now. We don't really spend too much time on them, but, I will give them a little shine. Even though their ratings are apparently very bad because they're on Fridays for a little bit.
Yeah, the number was down.
You want to? Well, we'll talk about this debut first.
Okay.
Talking about Andrade El Idolo. Making his debut alongside one Vicky Guerrero.
Yes.
He's basically, I kind of saw this promo. I haven't seen the actual full episode, but I saw the promo on Twitter. Basically, it was really quick. He stated he wants to be the face of Latinos and be the face of AEW. He has all the potential to be one of the top guys. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I don't know how Vicky Guerrero as his manager is going to be like. Not that she isn't good, but it's just she hasn't been a real focal point as in terms of a manager. She's been the manager of Nyla Rose the last year and a half and barely been on TV. So I don't know where this is going to lead to. It could be a situation with, how they did Miro, where he basically started off being the best man of what was his name? Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, and then 6 months later they keep him away and then he wins. He's now a champion. So it could be that type of situation. I don't know. But Andrade El Idolo is now signed with AEW.
I think this is great having him paired up with Vicky Guerrero when you think about it. So it almost, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I'm going to do it anyways. If you think about Edge's character, the Radar Superstar, and what he was doing, and when you put Vicky with someone who's as charismatic and just like very confident with himself, the way Edge was with that character, how is that any different from Andrade and the way he showboats and is, it's just, I think it works. And yeah, Rob is kind of mentioning a cougar gimmick, play at the cougar gimmick,
She's married. She's married to a guy her age, though. Just letting
play the cougar gimmick anyway.
But before you
I
say
think it'll
anymore,
work. I mean, especially if like Andrade needs a mouthpiece. I mean, I think because I remember the promo he did for, was that AAA, or what is the title that Omega has?
he's going for the AAA Mega Championship, I believe.
Right. So if he was in that, I think I remember once that promo being in Spanish. If you want to get some, and not that Andrade can't speak English, but I think if you have a Vicky Guerrero, and you said she hasn't been on TV, they haven't done much with her, they haven't spotlighted her, but if you're gonna have someone like Andrade and you're trying to put a rocket on the guy, and you want to have Vicky Guerrero along for the ride for that, the same way like as what happened with Edge. Not that Edge needed it, but I mean it wouldn't hurt. So I'm all for it. When I saw them paired together and she brought him out to the ring, I thought it made perfect sense.
Jim Cornette didn't love it.
He didn't love it?
Well, he hated the fact that. So it started out with Tony Schiavone coming out, and he introduced Mark Henry. And then Schiavone left the ring, and Mark Henry said something, and then Vicky came out and told him to leave, and he left. Which makes like Mark Henry look weak. It makes Henry look weak. But anyways, it just was kind of random because I saw his entrance and he didn't come out to any music or anything.
He really didn't, but I think
it felt a little flat for me.
I felt like there was a good enough pop there. I don't know.
No, the pop was fine. The pop was fine. It's just I don't know if that was maybe the best way to debut it. Maybe they should have had him interrupt a match or do something a little more interesting, because obviously English is not his first language. And not saying you can't understand him, because I could understand him fine. Right. But it's just maybe they should have just had him a bigger impact if, he attacked someone, and then maybe she cut the promo and he could have just said a few words. Like he said, I'm the face. I want to be the face of this company. I don't know.
I could see that. I mean, hell, if you want to attack Mark Henry or something. I mean, maybe not, because then you almost think that leads into a match or something or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's like you just had Mark Henry out there. Mark Henry just had a big pop. Mark Henry just showed up. You think he's the guy, spotlight, whatever. Then all of a sudden, maybe you have Vicky kind of come out and say, hey, leave the ring. Let's say he doesn't want to leave the ring. Then you have Andrade maybe beat him down a little bit and, kind of kick him out the ring or throw him, I don't know if you can throw Mark Henry over the top rope, but do something where you put a little bit of a beat down on Mark Henry, get some heat on Andrade. You have Vicky shouting and screaming. It's classic stuff. I mean, you can almost expect that, but I think that would have been the best way to approach it. Again, I think some of the pops that Mark Henry and that, because I don't think, did Mark Henry come out with the theme song either? I almost think they don't play up songs much because they kind of almost want the pop, and they almost are trying to generate or use some of that just because it's been missing for so long. You know what I mean? Maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's good.
I mean, we're booking AEW better than AEW.
Sign me up.
Come on now. We could write for them. Hire us. Take a paycheck for that. What are the numbers, James?
Oh, so the numbers for AEW, I mean, heck, if you need me to bump the numbers up, I just did it for you right there. What was it? I guess the June 2nd show, we're running on Fridays now. So actually that would have been the 4th, I guess. June 4th, which is a Friday. If it aired on Friday, I don't know when they film it. But the NBA playoffs, obviously, kind of impacting the schedule there for AEW. AEW with the 462,000. Normally, when during those Wednesday wars with NXT, and even a little bit after the NXT, they were getting in those 700,000, 600,000, a little bit more consistently. I don't remember last week.
The week prior, it was 565, I want to say. So they dropped over 100,000.
And that was on a Friday too. I'm trying to think. So as the playoffs are going a little further along and whatnot, and again, depending on what days these are landing on, because I think like the Laker game, was that a game 7? No, that wasn't game 7. Anyways, the Laker game was on. Different. Actually, that was the TNT game. I think was the Suns and the Lakers. And if that was on that Friday, that's a good example of maybe people tuning into that, or as teams are getting close to elimination and series are coming to an end, maybe you're getting more eyeballs there than you would elsewhere. Go ahead.
There might be some more. There probably were some more eyeballs on the Suns game because there was a former. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. Am I wrong? Was that not the one, or is it a different game?
Oh, you're talking about Triple H?
Yes.
So Triple H was at the Philadelphia 76ers game.
That's a 76ers one.
Guy Fieri was trending on Twitter the other day for making.
That's right. That's the one.
Game.
Maybe Guy Fieri's a ratings draw.
Yeah, maybe he is, but so Triple H is making an appearance for Joel Embiid, participating in the pregame festivities. I guess they ring a gong or a bell or whatever, or probably a bell, like something like the Liberty Bell or something, I'm guessing. So Triple H participated in that, had a DX shirt. They had DX logos and the green lighting going on. It actually had Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Joel Embiid, who plays for the Philadelphia 76ers, in the middle. So I thought that was pretty neat. Big pop for Triple H in Philadelphia. I don't know what the capacity was for that game, but it sounded pretty loud. It was kind of interesting to see those shirts. And it's just interesting in general because over the last year or two, I've noticed some sporting events. I believe even NBA was one of them. I think Conrad Thompson and who's my guy? I'm blanking. Who's booking WWE?
Pritchard.
Brother Love.
Who's driving?
Bruce Pritchard.
Who's driving?
And Conrad. They did a wrestling night at a Brooklyn Nets game, and themed with wrestlers and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting how it's kind of seeping into the NBA. But anyways, probably a little longer than we planned on talking about that. But anyways, we're getting close to a break, right, Ethan? What do we have coming up? I know we do have some numbers we could talk about in the next segment. Maybe a little Raw, maybe a little SmackDown. I also have a graphic that was posted by the Fox, the WWE Fox Twitter account that I think is worth mentioning. So we'll get into that maybe next segment as well.
So when we return, we're going to be talking a couple of released talent, kind of what they're up to and what they may potentially be up to next. In addition, as you mentioned, we might talk a little bit of Raw, a little bit of numbers. NXT TakeOver in Your House 2021 just happened. We'll talk about that. If you haven't seen our predictions, go on social media. They're, of course, up there as it airs. But we'll talk about that next week, on next week's episode. We might talk a little more NXT just in general. All that and more right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22 West Radio. 22 West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 146 of Beyond the Ropes. I am your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, and of course, producer, Rob Flores. You can follow us on Twitter at RealBTR Radio on Twitter. Ethan NB95 is where you can find me. You can find James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
Sweet. And of course, WWE recently released a couple of big names, unfortunately, and just names in general. So we have a little Braun Strowman news here. Our recent report has revealed how much money Braun Strowman is asking independent promoters for following his WWE release. It was previously reported that Strowman's last WWE contract saw him earn $1.2 million guaranteed per year.
That's just guaranteed. That means he was potentially making more.
Exactly. According to a new report, Strowman is quite comfortable financially. I would imagine $1.2 million for the last 2 years. That's a big amount there. According to PW Insider, Strowman's asking price is currently within the 5-figure range. So it was also reported that the Monster Among Men is pretty financially set for now, so it doesn't need to take bookings immediately. 5 figures, that's at least $10,000 per year.
I was at a camp. I was like, ooh.
That's quite a bit of money. I
mean, $10,000 for Strowman.
He was a Universal Champion. He just competed for the WWE Championship. I mean,
10,000 for one. Like, I'm just trying to think. I mean, he'd only beat, that's like one shot. So what are you really getting? And are you lining up? Are you flipping the channel to watch what Strowman does?
Well, if it's an independent show, they're not generally on TV. With that being said, if they do like a meet and greet or something, I don't know if he's doing meet and greets, they're gonna have to charge a person like $100 a meet and greet or something at least, and make sure they get at least.
Yeah, but then it's an independent show. How many people are you getting in the door anyways? I mean,
Rob, you're wrong. You're saying in the chat he can do cruiser moves. If you're talking about cruiserweight, if you saw his last match, he was moving around like a cruiserweight. So he's probably in the best shape of his career still. Better than he was a few years ago, but it's at least 10,000. They said 5-figure. It could be even more.
Yeah, it could be more.
Between the 10,000 and what 99,000. I doubt it's close to that, but
it's a no for me.
It's a no. You don't want to book Braun Strowman, guys? Let's come on. I got some money in my savings. Come on, everybody, chip in. Let's do this. Let's get Braun Strowman on BTR. He'll be a guest host.
Hell, not for that.
You're Endeavor Rob, but it's a sacrifice. We're gonna have to make. You laughed way too. Oh God. I was just games here.
Yeah, you did. I wasn't ready for that. How did you come to determine that Rob was the one that had to go? I was like, that was too quick on your part. But I mean,
we gotta have a contingency plan, guys. All right.
I don't know if Braun Strowman can fit in this little screen here, in one of these little Zoom squares. He would need like 2 squares.
Well,
yeah, so one of us would have to go, right? I guess
one of us would have to go, and maybe the other. So James, I mean,
just say you want to do a one-on-one with the man and be done with it.
I don't know. He's scary. I don't know if I want to, even from Zoom. You talk to him?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I ain't paying him $10,000 to talk to him though. He could go to the Shoot Wrestling YouTube or whatever. I don't know. That's if you want to pay him $10,000 to do that, then maybe to do some shoot interviews, but
some other news just here. Shotzi Blackheart is injured, unfortunately. I know Rob is a big fan of Shotzi. She's out with injury right now. And yeah, I mean, another fact here, the Usos, one of Jimmy is listed as a babyface while Jay remains entrenched on the heel side of the roster. I don't know where they got that from. That's from PW Insider.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, they list that. Maybe that's just them saying that, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though, I guess he has been.
I guess no, internally. So they're saying internally they're listed as that. So I guess within the company, the management or whatever, which makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense, yeah. But
and also another recently released star. Certain corners of the company, or within certain corners of the company, there's been some talk that Aleister Black was cut prematurely, and there has been a push that the company should bring him back in. Yes, 100% yes. Without a doubt, they should bring him back in. Whether or not this actually comes to fruition, there was a feeling that of everyone, Black was cut too soon and was a victim of broken promises and start and stop creative more than anything he did of his own accord. So basically nothing was his fault. But
now you admit your mistake. Do you invite him? If you're Aleister Black, do you go back? Like, I guess you could.
Well, let me finish the statement first. And then,
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Basically, he was on Renee Young's or Renee Paquette's Oral Sessions podcast. I have not yet seen any episodes, but I hear they're great.
I would imagine they're good. They're good shows.
Tommy End, of course, as he's going by now, or as he was before, stated at one point there was a pitch for him to be involved in the Boneyard match to assist Undertaker at WrestleMania 36, which is interesting, which certainly has helped him.
Do that. I mean, talk about a rub. I mean,
Tommy End, his first post-WWE appearance will be on November 14th at the big event in New York City. So there you go. Speaking of, yes, you mentioned it. Should he even go back at that point? I don't know. It's up to him. Maybe he goes, to the indie circuit. Maybe he gets signed to AEW or New Japan or something. Has a bit of a run there. But I think he seems like the guy who's open to very much going back to WWE. He seemed very grateful and very humble about the whole situation. He hasn't spoken ill toward the company, as most people tend to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, he put everybody over, which is partly kind of why I was so confused. It's like if everyone loved him, and he was it was said he was like close with Vince McMahon.
He was almost a United States champion, except Vince wanted him to win in front of a crowd,
Right.
And there were talks with him about being at WrestleMania 36 and Undertaker's what would later be known as his final match, in that Boneyard match. That's a huge deal. So I don't know. I would love to see him back as an Aleister Black fan. I think he's more than earned it. He was totally misused on the main roster the last 2 years, along with his wife, Zelina Vega, and I would love to see her back as well. I just don't know, if that's where they're at right now. If they just to kind of decide, well, right now, let's just move on. We're happy to just move on and do our own thing. Mm-hmm. And then maybe down the line, if they're interested again, I'm sure they would be welcome back, both of them, with open arms.
Definitely.
I think that's just an interesting little statement there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think he comes back at some point, but again, like not within a month of him being released.
Who knows? I mean, if they're really trying to do some surprises or pop a crowd for the new, the tour that coming up, the 25 city tour, maybe they try to, bring back a couple of people.
I mean, let's say they do or whatever you do. I mean, you look at Drake Maverick, right? We almost saw this. We saw him get released, whatever the case was, and then he comes back, had a good little run in that tournament, and then what happened? Like, he's still there, but
he's in a tag team. He still has a job, I guess, technically.
But to me, it's just kind of like
there needs to be a promise of.
But that's the thing. They can't make promises, which is because if you make promises, you got to make promises to everyone, which is kind of what WCW did. So I understand that you can't get everyone on the show. You can't book everybody, but at the same time, it's kind of like the money's good, but it's kind of like that's almost all that really may be guaranteed is the money. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, but hey, if you want to pay me $1 million and have me sitting catering like Drew Gulak and make me, pop up on a main event show or whatever once in a while, sure.
He was on Raw this past week, actually. So
there you go.
Good for Drew.
Hey, when you get people getting released, you got to put some. You got to get some other people.
Good for Drew Gulak, though.
Good for Drew. But I'm just saying, like Shorty G or whatever. Like you got people, or he's not going back. Chad Gable or Gable, whatever his name is now. Like again, I'm surprised Chad Gable's not someone who got cut. You know what I mean? Like what are we doing with that? Like
it could be a financial thing. Maybe Black was making significantly more than some of those guys that you just mentioned, and in order to just cut some people, it is very confusing that they would just cut him, considering he just came back and they were building him up. It's just so random that would happen.
True, and I think though too, when you think about it, and obviously I think we're probably going a little longer than we thought we would, but if you have guys or there's reports of someone wanting to be released, which I think was the case, or a
couple of names were.
Did he say that wasn't the case after? Didn't he say last week maybe that wasn't the case?
For him, I don't know. For him, it was a shock. He stated that it was a shock that he got released.
Because I'm just thinking, if he's someone who said he wanted to be released at some point, like after Zelina left or whatever the case was, if he asked to be released, like to me, that's not a surprise. Like that he was, because it's like he asked to be released. We can, why not make it him than someone who'd rather prefer to be here, whatever. And obviously that's before he got a push, whatever. Look at someone like Lana again. Whether she requested out or not, you get put through a table 23 times, 23 weeks in a row. Your husband got let go. You're not really doing too much. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're gonna get let go. But
anyways, I mean, as a fan, I would love to see Aleister Black back,
but not Lana
as possible. What would you say?
I said, but not Lana.
No.
Fair enough. Okay.
She could go play over there in AEW if she wants.
Okay.
Or she's a big TikTok or whatever. I don't know what she's doing over there, but I mean, she's greatly improved, I will say, and so good for her.
For sure.
As we're recording this, as this episode goes up, Eva, what's her name?
Eva Marie,
the Evolution.
Change it. Yeah, Evolution. Right.
Is happening. Her debut is big tonight on Raw. So, speaking of Raw, you got some numbers for Raw, or?
Yeah, I have some numbers for Raw. We're not going to credit Eva Marie for being responsible for some of these numbers, but they did have a jump in the ratings compared to last week, which I think was a record low, maybe for the year.
It was 1.5 in the internal.
It was like 1.5. So they jumped up to 1.6 million this week for that June 7th show. And
it was a better show.
It was a better show. Caught some of the highlights on it. We can go into that maybe a little bit if you want, but I'm just gonna start by saying I don't like Ricochet and jeans. Carry on. Go on with whatever you had to say. I just had to get that in there somehow.
I don't think it makes sense.
I have it on my notes. Ricochet, jeans, question mark, smiley face. Doesn't make sense. He's like flipping out the ring.
He's a superhero. He needs to be wearing those superhero tights he's been wearing.
It's just like, I just feel like cruiserweights, if they're the ones bouncing around and being all flexible and stuff, like, you shouldn't be wearing jeans. That's my point. We don't have to wear jeans.
If you were a heel, sure.
Then sure.
If you were in a faction and their gimmick was wearing jeans often, sure. It doesn't make sense as a babyface to wear that. So
to me, it's just the jeans. Except like he could wear all black trunks or whatever. Yeah. Wear the stretchy one, whatever it's called.
I don't wear the short trunks he was wearing recently.
Even just don't.
I like the long ones. Bring back the long ones.
Bring back the long ones. None of this jean stuff. But anyways, whatever.
Let's talk about. I mean, I don't know. Raw has been back and forth. I believe Hell in a Cell is this weekend. We're gonna give our predictions.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
As this episode goes up, it will be.
Yeah.
So we'll also give predictions on that later on. We are gonna get Drew McIntyre versus Lashley inside Hell in a Cell. If McIntyre loses, that's it. He doesn't get another opportunity at Lashley's title. We will have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. That build-up's kind of been meh.
Okay, let's stop for a second. We're running a little short on time. I want to expand a little bit on some of these real quick. We got Bobby Lashley doing a little bit of the Godfather gimmick.
Got the Lashley train. I heard someone calling. I was like, "What?" And then that's what McIntyre said.
That's right. Because I saw something about it. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Anyways, I was like, "Okay." So that was kind of interesting. Then Drew McIntyre does the sword gimmick.
He brought a weapon.
He brought a weapon. I don't know where was it at? I guess he had it under the table. But for me, the women didn't get scared enough when the sword was there. They're like all crowded up in the corner.
I saw a couple of them scream. Thought they were all right.
I didn't hear them scream, but they made good facial expression. But I'm like, I'm getting out of the ring. Heels or not, like if I'm in one, it don't matter.
All right. I mean, I want this feud to be over with, honestly. So I don't care who wins at this point. Honestly, Lashley's not doing it for me as champion. He started off okay. I'm more interested in the fact that MVP approached Kofi Kingston later in the evening saying, "Hey, you let Kofi Mania die." So I mean, there's something brewing there. I don't know if this means we're gonna get a Kofi heel turn or what.
To be fair though, so I mean, if anything, maybe it was a test or whatever, but we did have Kofi have those two random matches, as far as I'm concerned, on one night. And he beat Randy Orton, and then he got in the ring with who? With Bobby, right?
He beat Lashley. He pinned Lashley.
And then he beat him. Okay, and then he beat. So maybe that was a
McIntyre
test.
To the limit. Took McIntyre to the limit.
So we'll see. I mean, maybe there's something there. Maybe I guess I don't know.
Maybe not.
Can we? You may have had something else in mind, but I do want to mention that as a good little transition here. I mentioned the Fox Sports graphic that
Yes,
that was on
get to that, yeah.
that was on the Twitter account. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names. Part of me wants to say they're active. I guess maybe the top 2 no longer really are, but it just kind of shows you. So the graphic displayed, and this was actually I'll say who was shared by because they're on the list later. But so this is the most matches in WWE history, and I guess say what you want. I guess maybe because they do more shows now, they're all within this era. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names on the list. The 6th name is Kofi Kingston, who we just talked about. 1,356 matches in his career. I'm curious, and I was washing dishes yesterday actually, and I was thinking about this graphic, and I actually almost want to look to see, does this just mean TV matches, or does this mean like
I think it's all matches.
house show matches too?
I think it has to be house show matches. There's no way you
think
can
so?
have 1,000.
Because I mean, if you're on Raw, you're on SmackDown, you're doing a main event, you do pay-per-views. Not saying that everyone's on all those anymore, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things. I'll have to look into it. I might have to. I mean, I feel like doing I don't know. I feel like doing the research, but I feel like it's out there somewhere. Natalia, who I saw the tweet from, comes in at number, let me see, I'm losing count, 1, 2, 3, 4, at number 5 on the list, with 1,363 matches. So the gap there is not too wide, and that, a few of these guys and girls miss a few shows and they can get jumped on the list. So Natalia comes in at number 5, as I said, 1,363 matches. Randy Orton comes in at number 4, 1,388 matches. You got Ziggler, Dolph Ziggler, who, not really surprised, is considered one of the greatest workers, especially in this era. 1,442 matches. You got the Big Show, 1,446 matches. So we're gonna get Ziggler past Big Show here in a little bit. And again, these are just WWE matches. You got Kane, the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, leading the way, 1,675 matches. I think there will be an opportunity for the 4 on the end of that list there, with Ziggler, Randy Orton, Natalia, and Kofi to all potentially pass Big Show, and even maybe more realistically, Kane in the future. So yeah, but it just goes to show you the talent that's been there, how long they've been working there, and what those guys and girls bring to the table every night. I thought Natalia may have been a little bit of a surprise, not really, but when you just think about how valuable she is, and you can kind of tell she maybe sometimes doesn't really outright kind of say it, but she deserves a lot more respect than sometimes she's given. And I think this is just another example, and another reason why I thought it was important to mention that list.
Not surprising you give a big shout out there.
Hey, go watch the Bret Hart documentary. I haven't yet. I'm saving it.
I'm shocked you have not seen it.
I'm waiting to order a big screen TV, put it in my room, get some popcorn, hang out. I got the Bret Hart DVD from back in the day right here on the shelf right here next to me.
Let's talk
Make sure you
about
guys watch it.
Let's talk about a current star.
Running out of time, gotta go.
L.A. Nice. Say it with me, James. Come on. One more time.
L.A.
Nice. Come on.
I need to know though, real quick. And I think we're running out of time. What did Ted DiBiase's announcement? Do we know?
The $1 Million Championship is on the line in the ladder match at NXT TakeOver in your house. Of course, we're going to talk about it on next week's episode.
Yes. Predictions on Twitter.
We'll talk about it next week. Until then, this episode has been absolutely too sweet. Let's go.